Hello, my loves, beautiful beings of light. How are you all today? Whoa! It is a scorcher here in Salt Lake City, man. It is already 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is 10 a.m. Like, holy fuck. It's almost too hot to function. We are here. Happy solstice all over the world. Solstice day to day. Oh, so good. It's Father's Day here in America also, so happy Father's Day to all of you dads. The energies are amazing. I'm in love. I'm in love with the energies today. It is really bright energy here in the northern hemisphere. We're going to be talking to the southern hemisphere too. Solstices are just these beautiful, delicious days where we get to really see the duality. We're living on this whole planet, right? She's still whole, she's still complete, nothing's changed about her, and yet today she is at that maximum point of duality where we have the longest day and the longest night on different halves of the earth, right? So your dark side, your shadow side, and then your light side or your superconscious, right? Hello, beautifuls. I'm so excited. Okay, so we're going to start by lighting our candle, lighting our incense like we do every week. And we're setting the intention that this retrograde season goes well for everyone. Setting the intention that we can really connect to the divine masculine, releasing any toxic masculine traits from our system, purging the patriarchy on the planet, because why not do that today too if we're already going hard with the solstice, we're already going hard with Father's Day. Let's just do it, right? Let's go big. Go big or go home, right? That's what we do here with Superconscious Leaders. What I teach you every single Sunday on Superconscious Sunday, how to go big. Get bigger and bigger and bigger until you're as big as a dragon, and then no one's going to fuck with you, right? So we're going to set that intention today. And I guess we have this one. Some rose incense. When I do this, guys, when I'm clearing space, I always light it from the candle so that the intention is infused into the smoke as well. Weaving it in a figure 8 motion. All polarities into the singularity. Yin and yang coming together, creating a sacred container outside of time and space where immediate healing and transformation can occur. And then if you guys need some lovin's, rose is the highest frequency naturally occurring on the planet. So highest heart right here can just, I love rose. Love it. Meditate with roses. Rose baths. I cheat. I use rose water for my baths. But that's a story for another day. Here it is. I'm like, what happened to my incense holder? Groovy. Okay, we're here. So, today, good morning, beautifuls. Today we are celebrating the divine masculine. I know that a lot of us, and I'm also going to shake my drink. Hold on. I'm telling you, it's so hot. I can't even have regular coffee. I have coffee ice cubes and almond milk and protein powder. Oh, man. And also, if you guys hear a little cat, anything like that, I have a kitten that my daughter got for her birthday, and he's running all over the place. So this is his like super excited time of the morning when someone actually comes in after he's been alone all day. So I digress. Okay, so the divine masculine. I know that a lot of us have spent a lot of time talking about the divine feminine. Like a lot. Like a lot of time. And that's really important for us to know that we as females, we have this very strong feminine energy, right? We become portals, we give birth. Even if you've never had a baby, even if you plan to never have a baby, you still have the ability, the natural ability to be a portal, to be a manifester, a creator, right? And the divine aspects of just the power it takes to really like hold on to an idea, hold on to that baby, really let it grow and germinate essentially, and then birth it. That's what the divine feminine is all about, is being able to hold, right? Holding the idea, holding the manifestation, holding until it's time to do the very masculine thing, which is actually birthing. And I've talked about this before. I have given birth naturally 2 times. I've had 3 vaginal births. 2 of them were all natural at my home. One of them, my daughter, was completely unassisted. So my midwife showed up 15 minutes after she was born. That moment changed my life. And the more I've talked about it, the more I've gone back and really revisited that. Birth itself also has a very masculine quality to it. The actual act of birthing, right? Just like the act of sex and getting pregnant is very masculine. So we're going to actually use that analogy as we go through how we can use our superconscious powers, our superconscious resources and abilities to clear, like I said, the whole planet, right? The whole patriarchy is toxic at this point, right? There are pieces of the old ways that are just falling apart. Today we also Jupiter goes retrograde today. So Jupiter, the father of the gods, right? This really powerful abundance making planet is going retrograde right now. Mercury is coming out of retrograde in 2 days. So the last 3 weeks of your communication's been a little bit off, I have a lot of friends that have Mercury retrogrades in their charts, and so Mercury retrogrades are always fantastic for them. I know for my own personal life, don't have discussions about anything super important. Try not to make big plans that are going to involve, I don't ever do a master class during Mercury retrograde, just so that the communication isn't fucked, right? But that's going away in 2 days. But now we're going to have Pluto, Saturn, and now Jupiter all in retrograde right now. So really deep unearthing of patriarchal plans, of old ways, and then Saturn, the planet of discipline, coming in to say, okay, you have this opportunity. This is the first time you've had all 3 of these planets retrograde in the age of Aquarius, which started at the winter solstice, the last solstice that we had 6 months ago, with the grand conjunction, right? The grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. Now they're both retrograde. Now they're both saying, okay, what have you learned in the last 6 months? What is it that you want to release out of the system as we're building the new rules for New Earth, right? Superconscious leaders, you hear me say it all the time. I'm here to help support those who are coming out of their spiritual closets to actually step up and take major leadership positions within their family, within their community, within their company, within their causes, and within their country, within their cities, within their states. However, because we need people who have the knowledge that we have of New Earth, that we have of the ancient codes, how to upgrade our DNA, how to clear through all of the ancestral trauma and bullshit, how to integrate our shadows, how to have a day like this with high energies and work it. We need that in our actual system, running things, okay? This is why we're celebrating the divine masculine right now, because a lot of people are just fuck the patriarchy, burn down the patriarchy, we're gonna live in some crazy utopian society, and it's just gonna turn on one day. And that's just not how it's gonna go, guys. It's not just gonna, you're not just gonna wake up one day and everyone's in utopia. It is always, always going to take leaders, right? And leaders need to be okay with looking like the bad guy. If Martin Luther King Jr. hadn't been okay with looking like the bad guy at some point to someone, somewhere, where would racial justice be now in America? And it's not even as far as we would want it to be, right? Where would women's rights be if Susan B. Anthony hadn't been willing to go and look like the bad guy, right? So this is another thing that I teach, because I hold the divine masculine codes really well. It's actually hard for me to get into my soft feminine side of the receiving sometimes. I have that very strong masculine energy. I have this very strong, go get them, go big or go home, but in that divine way, right? We've got the toxic masculinity. We'll talk about that for a second. Toxic masculinity, it shouldn't have to be said, but is pretty much everything that's wrong with our system right now, right? The use and abuse of power over those who are not as strong, right? The weak against the strong. This whole duality fighting each other. That's very toxic masculine versus divine masculine will be about the integration, right? So, and again, women's jobs, all we do is hold it, right? Anytime there's an actual action being taken, you're in masculine energy. And when you're in a resting, receiving, holding pattern, you're in your feminine energy. That's the best way to really think about it. The masculine's job is to provide and protect. Provide and protect, provide and protect. That's fucking it. Nothing else. Women's is to hold and receive, okay? Hold and receive, provide and protect. Those are the two roles. The toxic masculinity on this planet right now is being cleared away, and yet there's... Hold on. I gotta, like... Don't hiss at me. He's, like, eating something he shouldn't be eating. Cosmo! Sorry, I told you, kid. So, the toxic masculinity gets focused on too much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can read all about the toxic masculine. You can see it out in this world, right? We're dealing with the toxic masculine. So how can we step in to celebrate the divine masculine? And the divine masculine, again, is the energy of action, right? The energy of action necessary to create, right? So the actual act of sex, the actual act of the sperm leaving the penis and going and penetrating the egg, that's all masculine. So if you can think about that in your life, whenever you're focusing your energy on something and taking action towards it, that's when you're in your masculine energy. That's when you're in the actual, like, movement, right? Same thing with the actual act of giving birth. Like I said, birthing, being a portal, all of that, that's very feminine. But the actual act of birthing, that pushing, the ejection, here he is. Say hi, Cosmo. The actual action of birthing is, again, very masculine. You have to find this power and this strength inside of you that you didn't know that you possessed. And when the baby comes out, it's like, whew, right? The head makes it, and the shoulders get stuck. As soon as that first shoulder, like, rolls, again, I birthed my daughter unassisted. It was crazy how she just, like, shot out. She shot out so fast, her umbilical cord actually snapped in the process of her coming out of me. Like, it was crazy, right? That power, that push, is where the divine masculine is assisting, right? That's divine masculine energy. The reason why I use the analogy of birth is because women are the ones who give birth, right? But we think about it as all feminine. The pregnancy part, that's the feminine. Again, trust me, like, hear me now, believe me later. If you can understand that everything is intrinsically both masculine and feminine, including pregnancy and birth, right? The act of getting pregnant is very masculine. The act of being pregnant is very feminine. And then the act of actually birthing is, again, very masculine. So the same thing with your ideas. You get struck by a spark of inspiration. You're penetrated by an inspired idea. Okay, so that's masculine. Oh, I got this idea for this new business. Oh, I got this idea for this new song. Oh, I have this idea for this new painting. Oh, I have this idea for this new policy, right? Oh. Sorry, he's like chasing the smoke. It's great. You have all these ideas. Those, right, sparks, those light bulb moments, that's masculine. Those sparks of inspiration, that's masculine. Now, holding on to the idea, building the belief around the idea, that's the feminine energy, right? Okay, well, we're going to hold it and we're going to gurgitate on it. But anytime you have a new idea that comes in that causes you to take an action, you're back in your masculine. The reason why we're celebrating this so much is because there is so much talk about destroying the patriarchy, taking down the masculine, divine feminine rising, that we have to remember, just like today, on the solstice that we have this extreme opposites going on with the sun, the longest day and the longest night happening on the same planet, just different parts of the world. That's what's happening within you. Okay? You yourself have to recognize that you are fully both, and that alchemical marriage is the reason why we have to really integrate our own inner patriarchy, okay? That is something that's really fucking hard for people, okay? It's something that I actually specialize in. Most of my clients, that's what they're needing to do. What they're needing to do is going back and integrating their inner patriarch, integrating the part of them that tells them that they're not good enough, that they're not strong enough, that they're going to be too much, that tells them that their trauma was deserved, and all of these other things. You have this man, like the man, voice in your head, and it's subconscious programming, and it's the patriarchy subconscious programming going off in your mind constantly. And unless you have someone who's been doing that work themselves, who's helped other people do that work, you're not going to know what thoughts you have that are of that toxic masculine patriarchy level, and which ones of them are the divine masculine. You're not going to be able to separate those thoughts, because you're just going to recognize, oh, there's masculine energy in me. I need to purge all masculine energy. And that's why you get these like really angry feminists, right? These people that are just like, fuck all men, and making it so that we can't have, like, we need both, guys. Like, to have a baby, you need both a man and a woman. To have this planet work out the way that we want it to, and to build new earth, we're going to need men and women. We're going to need that action-taking, inspired action movement of the divine masculine. We're also going to need the reverence and the holding and the receiving of the feminine, okay? It's a both and more. That's what I teach right there. That's the main, you get to have both and more. Because so many people come to me with these either or issues, right? They come to me with, well, what about this or this or this? If you can integrate yourself to a certain level, then you get to have everything. You get to have both and more. You get to have the lovely, amazing life in your house with your kids and your spouse, and you get to make a fuck ton of money doing something that you love. And you should always make money doing what you love. Like, that's the most important thing right there. Don't be going out and making money doing something you hate. That's toxic masculinity. That's working for the man, right? There is a way for you to make a fuck ton of money being a healer, right? I've got clients that are charging $1,000 an hour for a tarot reading, right? I've got clients that charge $100,000 for 6 months working with them, and they're helping you develop your clairaudience, your like all of your psychic abilities, your clairsentience, your all of that, right? And what do those two clients have in common? At the beginning, they thought there's no fucking way that anyone would ever want this, right? There's too many voices of the man saying healers are bullshit, nobody believes that psychics are real, blah, 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 blah. And then as we integrate and realize, no, the masculine is always supportive. A true divine masculine is going to support their woman to do whatever it is that they want, right? So it's going to support the side of you that wants to do the crazy thing. Because when we look at history, women are the ones that are actually changing the world. The reason why is because women have this emotional attachment to their children in a way that men don't have it. So women might not have always been, like, it might not have always been the suffragettes sort of thing, but any major change in policy that's ever occurred anywhere in the world is because the moms got involved. And the mom said, oh, this is like fucking up our kids. We don't want this anymore. This is not something that we support. And as the mothers stood up for the rights of their children, the policies changed. Seriously, Kat? I wish I had your toy. I'm sorry I don't have it. He's super extra today. But like I said, it's fucking hot as hell. It is literally... God, it's hot. It's hot. Whew. I live in a desert. I know it should be hot, but damn. Not even 11. It is this hot. So, what are some questions that you guys have about being able to tell the difference between the toxic masculine and the divine masculine? Um, Ask those questions, and I'll go on about how we celebrate the divine masculine. So, a lot of people will come to me and they'll be like, "So, this is what's going on with my marriage or with my boyfriend, or this is what's happening with my dad." That's a huge one, the father wound. And we forget that everything is learned, right? Everything is learned. So you might have a spouse that is just so supportive and so amazing and helps provide and protect for your family and all of these things. And then on the flip side is just like gets super angry and feels super controlling, and you feel like you're living with Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. And then you go and you start reading books, and all the books out there are telling you that, oh, that means that your partner is an abusive narcissist or something like that. But you have this level of discernment, you've done your inner work, you know the difference, and you're like, no, it actually kind of feels like he's possessed. It's not like this is like not who he is normally. It feels like he's possessed. That's going to be their little man. Like, they're the man inside their head, is all of that shit. So your job as the divine feminine, right, or as the supporter of the partner, is to be patient. That's what the woman does, right? She holds. The system is working for them. It's a lot harder to break someone out of a mental pattern when that pattern has helped them, right? When you have someone who's worked the system, gone through the line, gone through the American dream, come over from another country, set up their lives, went through the whole process of becoming a citizen, created a small business, followed all the hoops, jumped through, and now they're a multimillionaire or whatever, or maybe even just making 6 figures a year and supporting their family and being able to send money back to their home country. There's no reason for them to want to change the way that they think, right? Because the system has worked for them. They don't see the intrinsic negatives, right? They're not seeing the persecution. They're not seeing the negativity because they're following the rules. They're going through the game of life. Really? They're going through the game of life, and they're winning. So why would they change, right? And if you just go after them and you're like, oh, well, you're abusive, oh, you're a narcissist, oh, you're this, oh, you're that, don't you see, blah, 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 they're still not going to see it. If anything, they're going to feel attacked. And we all know what happens when a woman tries to get onto a man, right? Fucking, he runs the fuck away. He just walks out of the room and then walks out of the house and then gets into his car and drives away and goes to the bar until she's calmed down, right? Again, because that has worked. Because she then goes into this, oh no, is he coming back? Oh no, he's the provider. Oh, I better straighten up my act. Blah, 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 blah. And then the cycle continues, right? We've seen that over and over. So if you want to support your masculine counterpart in breaking those subconscious patterns, you're going to have to inception them a little bit, honey. You're going to have to start asking them pretty much without being so rude, like, did you hear what the fuck just came out of your mouth? Like, do you understand how controlling that statement is that you just made? Because then they can start having their own inquiry, right? Start listening to your own self-help books over the loudspeaker and not just in your earbuds, right? Start asking them to listen to things like Alan Watts and Osho and, even Nietzsche, right? Some of these things you need to get them just started, and then it will unravel themselves, right? They will start having their own epiphanies, and they will start realizing, like, oh, fuck, okay, well, then what do we do? And that's where we're at, and that's where I've been working super hard for the last couple of years, why I'm going to be running, why I talk about running for office all the time. I'm still getting everything set up for my campaign for city council this year. Just so many things that are going on right now because we don't know how to change it, right? There's not enough of us in the superconscious realm who are then becoming policymakers that are then going to be changing the system for everyone, because a lot of how it changes ends up being very nanny state in a way, like more government funding, more government services, more this, more that, but then we're not taking away anywhere, right? Like, I'm all for Social Security and all of that, but let's stop spending billions of dollars on the military industrial complex as a way to pay for it instead of increasing taxes, or property taxes being what pays for schools. And then you got one county that has 12,000, what is it, like my county has approximately $2,000 per student, but then a couple of counties away they only have like $150 per student that they can spend. That should be statewide, right? And I know that other countries, I'm talking about America, have different systems, but there's still, it's hard to get into the game to begin with, right? It's hard to even get into those places to be the policymakers and policy changers. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take changing the policies in your own life. He's literally gone crazy right now, guys. Changing your own belief system around the patriarchy, changing your whole it's evil, and realize that that's just the game that we've been playing. Okay, that is literally the game we've been playing. It was a decision that we all made together after having the amazing time with the age of Isis, right? We had all this wonderful, beautiful, divine feminine, and that's when the sacred prostitutes were out, and that's when all this art, and when everyone was covered in gold and all of that. But that got boring, right? I say it all the time. Bliss gets boring. That's why we cause drama. As long as you can come into recognition that you're the one creating your drama, because that's what you need to get off a little bit, that's what you need to keep your life spicy, go have a melodramatic life. That's fine. Doesn't matter. People judge drama, but bliss gets boring. It literally gets boring, and that's what we did. So then we're like, okay, well, let's do the Age of Osiris, and that's where we've been. And now we're in the Age of Horus, which is the new child, right? The child, and this new ability of what do we like from both? We loved the technological advancements. We loved the medical advancement, these things that we did. But we didn't really like the slavery and the power hunger and the wars and this, right? We loved the gold being we just wore gold everywhere, right? Sex was open. You could just be walking around with like a gold leaf and things like that, and nobody cared. So the body being more worshipped and more adored. We love that about the Age of Isis, right? So the Age of Horus here is where we get to cherry pick, where we get to decide what parts of what age we love the best and fuse them together, right? The ancient and the future fusing together into one golden age of miracles that has never been seen, right? There are souls incarnating from all over the galaxy for the first time ever on this planet just to find out what we're going to do. And then there's those of us who have been on this planet for, 20,000 or more consecutive lifetimes, and we're like, I know exactly what we're going to do. Go get me in that seat so I can start making the changes, right? How could you identify shadow toxic and masculine traits? Okay, so toxic masculine traits are always going to be power control traits, okay? So, sorry, I'm dying of thirst right now. So, the toxic masculine traits are going to be sit down, shut up. That doesn't matter to me. Your opinion doesn't matter. I'm always right. There's nothing wrong with me. If you're not willing to do any, so I'm going to talk about this from your own personal side, because we all have toxic masculinity within us. So, for me personally, one of my big traits was anger. I would get angry really, really fast. Okay? Super mad. Throwing shit. There are a couple of pictures in my house that are actually covering holes that I had put in my wall from throwing things. The raising of the voice stuff too, right? Just screaming, yelling, that dominating feeling, I need to make you submit to me, right? dominatrix submission, that can always be fun in the bedroom with some BDSM. But if you're trying to force your partner or your children or your clients or your whatever into doing something a certain way, your way, right? That whole my way or the highway mentality, anything like that, that's the toxic masculine. The toxic masculine is the one who's abusive. The toxic masculine is the one that is really, really cunning, right? So gaslighting, stuff like that, that would again be toxic masculinity. Where it's this manipulation for your own personal gain. Purposefully making someone think that they're going crazy and it benefits you. Either you get off on it, like you think it's just funny because they're like, oh, you're just too stupid to figure it out, or because it's going to benefit you in another way if they don't follow their action, right? So manipulation for your own personal gain. Toxic masculinity is different than narcissism too. So I know that I've been throwing the word around like narcissistic, abusive. That's what the books will tell you, right? That's if you go out again as a new age person, as a spiritual person, as a super conscious person, you start recognizing that other people in your life are having these traits, and you go try to read anything from modern psychology about it, you're going to run into a fucking giant existential crisis where you recognize that yes, these psychologists are totally correct, but they're also identifying the patriarchy and the old way. And they're saying there's no way to change them. There's no... Blah, blah, blah. So our jobs is to literally find a way to create a bridge of liberation from the old toxic masculine beliefs into the divine masculine beliefs. And the divine masculine beliefs, again, are provide and protect and support. Provide, protect, support. Right? Supporting the woman when she's holding. Again, let's go back to the baby. A really awesome dad, when the mom is pregnant, is going to be the one that's like, do you need anything? Can I get you some water? What are you craving? Let's put your feet up. Right? Oh, don't worry about doing that. I'll build the crib. I'll make the this. I'll do that. And then he's taking all these actions, and he just wants his wife to sit there and be as comfortable as possible and take care of that baby. And her only job is to sit there and to glow and to be beautiful and to create this baby. Now, if you've had a husband like that, which I have, it can drive you fucking crazy if you're someone who likes to do things, especially in your second trimester when you feel good. But let's just use that as the analogy, right? That would be a divine masculine. Now, toxic masculine would be someone who's like, whatever, bitch, get your own sandwich. I'm not going to do that for you. You can build the crib. There's no baby shower, right? Or the whole just like takes off, right? Totally takes off, isn't around ever, shows back up once the baby is born, doesn't give a fuck about anything except for the baby, then takes the baby away and just like raises it on his own with his own rules. That would be toxic masculine versus divine masculine. Using the baby analogy is really the easiest thing I have. I have 3 kids. I work a lot with moms. I hope that answers your question. Is there any other questions? Ow. My knee. Yeah, if you have any questions about all of this. So when we're celebrating, the more we can focus on, so I give my clients this homework a lot too. When they, because I have clients that come to me for all sorts of things, guys. Like, I teach what I call whole life alignment. So it's this idea that when one area of your life is out of whack, we got to look at somewhere that's completely different a lot of the times to actually line it up. I kind of look at life like a giant ball of string that my kitten might have gotten into, and you got to pull it right here and pull it right here, and maybe you get really knotted over there, so you've got to come all the way over here and start unwinding it that way. It's how I work with the bodies. It's also how I work with your like whole life, right? So I've had clients who came to me and they were having money issues, but then we end up working on their marriage the whole time, and they end up having what I call energetic divorces, meaning they let go of the old marriage completely, maybe don't have to go through any of the paperwork, and they're recreating their marriage from a totally different energetic standpoint. What I have found with a lot of these women is, again, these women have done their own inner work. These women have become really spiritual, and they're married to men who have benefited from the system. So they don't have the same drive or reason. Like, a lot of the reason why women go through self-help is because they know that the system is fucked, and they're trying to find a way to feel better about the fact that the system is literally rigged against us, and how to infiltrate the system and change it from the inside out. It's the main cause for it, right? That's what the New Age revolution is all about. This is a spiritual revolution, right? This whole building of New Earth is a spiritual revolution that's going to take devout, radical, wise, and wrathful actions to change the Earth's addiction to suffering. Like, the planet is addicted to suffering right now. The divine masculine doesn't want to see any suffering, right? That's toxic masculinity. The idea of suffering is toxic masculinity. Yeah, the divine qualities. So the divine qualities that you're looking for in your husband, so what these women are wanting, is a husband that's like very supportive, who is going to want to learn more, who's going to want to create more equal opportunities for everyone, who no longer has the whole lack. There's like a specific term. It's not lack mentality or scarcity mentality, but it's essentially the idea that there's only like a pie, and there's only so much of whatever resource, and that if I take some of that resource, that means that I'm taking away from somebody else. That is a huge one for men that has been ingrained for many, 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 many generations because of survival skills, right? There was only this much of a boar that was killed for the village, and they were having to divvy up the boar evenly throughout everyone in the village, right? So that has been passed down. There's also a reason why men speak less than women, right? There are parts of their brain that have the actual like speaking parts are not as developed because the men were out hunting, and they would have to do things like this, like, and they would have to go and be silent and create these movements, right? So that's why in baseball they're like, right? And that means something to them, and most women are like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Because we talk. Because the women were around the campfires and around in the village, and we were chit-chatting and bullshitting while we were cleaning up the berries and baking the soup and doing all of that, right? So the divine masculine qualities are the ones that are supporting. The ones that come in and say, hey, baby, you know what? You're on your period right now. I got the kids tonight. Right? The divine masculine qualities within yourself are the parts that, instead of beating you up when you don't do something, like you're taking an action, maybe you're building your website out and you're just stuck. The toxic masculine is the one that's like, you know, I call her, it's really funny, my name's Caryn, so my other voice in my head, my like my ego voice, her name's Susan. I would have said Caryn because of the memes, but my name is already Caryn, so that was not working. So for me, it's Susan, right? I've got this fucking Susan in my head, and she's the one that talks down, blah, blah, blah. I switched it to a female because when I made it male, it triggered a lot of my own inner trauma, actually. But you could do whatever. You could be like, oh, the voice in my head is Barry, right? Or I have a coach who calls it Bob Baracha, right? Whatever. The voice in your head that's being negative, oh, that's not good enough, oh, they're not going to believe you, oh, are you really going to wear that dress, all of that, that's that toxic old belief system that's still running in the subconscious. That's why I'm saying tons of the work I do is subconscious. I can only come on live streams once a week, once every other week, and try to teach you as much as I can, but until you're in a container with me and you get to experience what I do, I can't really explain it to you. It's hard to, because you're an individual person. Every person is individual. Everything I create is bespoke. Everything I make is custom made. I don't have a cookie cutter container because you're not a cookie cutter person, right? You've had your own life experiences. Yes, I use different tools that I might use for multiple clients, but not in the same order, not in the same way, not for the same duration. So the toxic masculine in your head is all of the stuff that's cutting you down. The divine masculine is all the stuff that's supporting you. So then, you know, your Prince Charming, the inside of your head, wherever, says, no, that's beautiful. I fucking love that font. That's an amazing photo that you were able to find for your page, right? And anytime you take an action and then you feel supported in that action, you're in your divine masculine. When you've taken action and you immediately feel like shit afterwards, you're in your toxic masculine. Okay? And then the feminine side of that comes in. Am I worthy of receiving it? So, again, everything I teach is about the marriage of the two. The marriage of the two. Because just like today on the solstice, you can't have the summer solstice and the longest day of the year here in the northern hemisphere without simultaneously having the shortest day of the year in the southern hemisphere. They are not separate. Okay, so we might want to try to talk about the masculine and feminine as separate, but they're not. They are intrinsically attached. You can't have male without female. This is the law of gender. It's one of the laws of the universe. Go read the Kabbalion. You'll learn all about it. Just like the light and dark, just like sharp and dull. That's the law of polarities. But within gender, there's everything masculine, feminine. There is no separation. We live on a dualistic planet, okay? It's the flavor of these things, right? Even within consciousness, right? I talk about subconscious, conscious, and superconscious, right? Those are different levels of the same thing. It's your awareness within yourself and your ability to take ownership and authority of your own story. When you can take full authority, claiming that I know that every traumatic experience that ever occurred to me, every hurtful word, every sleepless night, every time that I felt beat up, battered, and bruised was a choice I made for my own growth. You are actually living in your own divine masculine, because divine masculines can own when they fucked up. They can own when they need to make a change. The toxic masculine, again, is the one that's like, nothing's wrong with me. I'm fucking perfect. You're the one that has to change. There's something wrong with you. Okay? So, for the last couple of minutes, I really want to do a dragon invocation. Light language transmission, I guess, would be another term for those of you who might be new. Hi, everyone. Oh, my dad's on. Hi, Dad. Happy Father's Day. I love you. I love my life. I love my family. I have the most supportive fucking family in the whole planet. Like, it's amazing. But it took me realizing that I was worth having that. Right? That's something that I really want a lot of people to realize in this. You might think that you're dealing with a toxic masculine situation when you're actually in your toxic feminine or swampy feminine, which is not feeling worthy of all the amazingness that you have in your life. So you're going to poke holes and try to find reasons why it sucks. That's another story for another day. So, if there aren't any more questions, I don't see any here. It looks like Facebook is pretty chill. IG, it looks like I answered those already. What I'd like to do for the last just couple of minutes is a prayer for the earth to clear the timelines up and to clean up the patriarchal systems so that it's easier for us to go in and infiltrate and create the massive change we need to have more of these divine qualities, right? Remember that my goal at the end of the day has always been the same since I was a tiny little girl watching Star Trek: to live on a planet where every man, woman, and child has access to healthy food, clean water, shelter, education. That's it, okay? And that we do so in a way that's sustainable for not only humanity, but for the entire planet, for every species on this planet to live here, because we are just one planet under source with liberty and justice for all. That is what my motto is. That is why I'm here, and this is why I do the work. Because I know that I cannot go change the world alone. I know that I can't go change policies alone. It's going to take a village to change the planet. It's going to take many people willing to be the bad guy, to look crazy, to have their lives shown to the world, to own it, to be unfuckwithable and say, at the end of the day, I know that every action I'm taking is for the betterment of humanity. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about with narcissism. Let's rewind for a second. If you are like, oh, well, everything you're talking about seems really narcissistic, Caryn. Like, you're so focused on yourself. You're so focused on yourself, right? Your self-care is number one, right? Take care of yourself today so you can care for others in the world tomorrow. All of those things. Well, that sounds like you're a narcissist. You need to put other people before you. That's not true. We actually are in a lot of problems in our lives because not more people took care of themselves first, right? There's a reason why chronic illness affects women higher amounts than it affects men, especially autoimmune diseases, chronic fatigue, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, MS, all of that. When you go and look at the numbers, it's affecting women at huge rates compared to men. Men are more likely to put themselves first. Men are more likely to take care of themselves and then come back and take care of the kids. Men are more likely to get up and go to the gym and do their mile run and do all of that stuff before everybody wakes up and then come back. Women are more likely to try to get a run in at the end of the day and then never make it, right? So when you can stop looking at this idea of narcissism in such a negative light and instead look at it as just, there's only me. If I don't take care of me, if I don't fill my cup, if I don't do my things that I know give me the energy necessary. So for me, it's waking up. It's getting on the mountain. I haven't been on the mountain this week because it's been hot as fuck, and there are rattlesnakes, and my dog is not rattlesnake trained yet, but usually I'm up and I'm on the mountain, right? I'm eating healthy food. I eat mostly plant-based, but I also listen to my body when it craves meat, and I'm okay with that. My moral issue with the eating meat is more of a stomach issue with eating meat. And when I do eat meat, I make sure it's really high quality, that it's from a local farm, right? I'm staying within my ethical boundaries, because I think that the factory farming is fucked, right? That whole system is totally messed up, and I'm not going to put my money in support it. I have to play with capitalism, right? I might not agree with a lot of capitalism, but I'm in a country where capitalism is number one, so I need to be really smart. I make choices. I buy local, right? I buy unprocessed. I buy all these ways that, yes, I'm exchanging my money, but I feel really ethically aligned, right? That's, again, taking care of me, though, because I am the one that has my own standards. I am the one that has my own boundaries. No one out there is going to hold my boundaries for me except for me. No one out there is going to take care of me except for me, right? Even though my husband pays for the house, right? This is another thing. Even if you're being supported by someone else, okay? Even if you're being supported by someone else, you are still the one who's supporting you. Because you are the one who created the reality in which you have this support. Right? All of your bills have been paid because you made sure that they got paid. It doesn't matter if you've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 11 years and now you're just starting your business or whatever, because that's a huge fucking thing I hear about all the time. Oh, well, I've never been on my own. Oh, I don't know how to take care of myself, blah, blah, blah. You have been taking care of yourself since you were little, okay? Since as soon as you learn how to wipe your own ass and eat and make yourself a bowl of cereal, you have been taking care of you. And now as a grown-ass adult, wherever you are in your life, you have been taking care of you because you are still alive. So this idea that taking care of yourself is narcissistic and negative is not true. Again, if more people actually took care of themselves, did their daily routines, got their body work, got their head cleaned up, right? I've been going to therapy since 2013. I've been getting body work done every other week since 2013. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on spiritual enlightenment and integration and retreats and coaches and all of that. For me to be able to realize that I'm absolutely worthy of living the life that I live. So that's why I teach your worth, right? I know who you are. You are the aspect of the divine. I know what you are. You are the creator manifested in form. I know how you serve. You sing your own song. You radiate your own unique frequency. That is your worth. And whatever reality you create, whether it's being on the streets homeless with not a dime in your pocket, or with or in a fucking multi-million-dollar house on Santorini making $1 billion, you are the one creating your reality. You are the one claiming your worth. And what you have in your life is the level that you believe you are worthy of. If you want something else, you gotta believe you're worthy of that. And that is a feminine thing. The masculine knows he's worthy. He knows he's reaching for the stars, right? Men don't have a problem with marketing. Okay? Men do not have a problem with marketing. Men do not have a problem with going out there and getting lead generations. Men do not have a problem with this idea of rejection the same way that women do when it comes to their business. Women are always like, oh, well, marketing feels yucky. It feels gross, right? I've never once had a male client tell me that when I say, okay, I need you to go out there and email everyone on your list, I've never had a male client be like, oh, but that feels icky. I've had tons of female clients do that, okay? So that's, again, a belief that's been put into the females that men are the ones who make money, that men are the ones that provide, right? So you have to rewrite that programming to know that you have that within you. You can provide and protect for yourself. And you have been all along. Even if you haven't been the one making all the money in your family, you've still made sure that the lights stayed on. Right? You've still made sure that the bellies were filled. You have done all of that. So own your motherfucking power. The reason why so many people get intimidated by me or don't really know how to handle my energy is because I own my fucking power. I don't give a fuck what people think about me because I know that my standards and my ethics are on fucking point, right? Communication, consent, all of these things are so important to me. And that looks really negative and narcissistic to other people. When you have come into full alignment, when you've reached that alchemical marriage that everyone is searching for when they're doing the shadow integration, shadow work, I don't like that word, so shadow integration. Once you reach that, other people who haven't done that healing, you will look like an arrogant, stuck-up, narcissistic bitch. I promise you. I promise you. Every coach I've ever had that was worth her grade in salt would have at least one rant on a live stream somewhere at some point talking about another female who was trying to tear her down, whatever. Because when you're solid in who you are, it's not common, right? Only 2% of female-owned businesses ever make $1 million. That's it. So when you can really come into this alignment and this understanding that you are masculine and feminine, you are light and shadow, that you are everything all curled into one, and you own that solid, other people are going to be uncomfortable. When you're living from your heart space, other people who are not living from their heart space are going to freak out around you. And that's why I teach you how to be unfuckwithable. You can't let the emotions of other people's and the thoughts of other people's fuck with you and your grand vision, especially if your grand vision is New Earth. Especially if your grand vision is to be a leader of an entire planet and helping them come into superconscious awareness of themselves as aspects of the divine, creating their reality. Okay. Someone called me a narcissist a few days ago because I spoke my truth and disagreed with teaching slavery in school systems. Yep. Yeah, exactly. You want to be taught, you want to have your children be taught our actual history. Like, did anyone learn about Juneteenth when they were in school? Fucking no. No, nobody talked about it. I'm sure it was like mentioned in passing that on June 19th, 18 whatever, that's the day that the slaves were fully slavery was completely abolished and all slaves became free. But we didn't celebrate it the same way we were celebrating fucking Veterans Day. Right? Okay. So, Dragon Invocation. I was gonna do a Dragon Invocation. I'm really feeling like I want to do it tonight, later. A special live stream specifically for the solstice. So we're gonna do that. I don't know what time. Probably in a couple hours here. I do have Father's Day stuff starting at 4 o'clock, but probably around 3-ish. So in like 3 hours, I'm going to be back on live. We're going to do an invocation specifically for clearing the patriarchy, and we're going to do a little ritual for the summer solstice, nothing too fancy. And we'll do that here in Yeah, at 3 p.m., that's 4 hours from now. So 3 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. I don't know. Guys, figure out the rest of it for the rest of the world. My brain hurts. I love you. Thank you for being here today. I hope this was helpful. Celebrate the Divine Masculine. The way that we celebrate the Divine Masculine is supporting ourselves when we take those actions. Take the inspired action, too. You got to take the action. You got to eject that sperm. You got to eject that baby. You have to take the steps. You're never going to change your life if you just keep sitting in the same spot, if you just keep trying to stay pregnant with the idea the whole time and you never birth it into the world. Nothing's ever going to change. So, we love you. Thanks for being with me today. I will be back in 4 hours for a very special solar solstice dragon invocation. It's going to be great. I love you. We'll talk soon.